Hey everyone, so I am going to talk about being obedient, and the part that I want to touch on is when God is asking you to do something that does not make any sense, right? So first I'm going to go with the verse that I thought of when I heard be obedient. So it's Isaiah 55:8 and 9, where it says, "For my thoughts are not your thoughts, nor are your ways my ways, says the Lord. For as the heavens are higher than the earth, so my ways are higher than your ways, and my thoughts than your thoughts." So the problem with that is we all know when we hear that verse that God sees the big picture. And we're supposed to be like, okay, be obedient. I don't have to understand what's going on. I want to talk about what we do as humans is, even right after reading that verse, I go into this head spin of trying to figure out where God is going with this, getting way ahead and out of step, and then that drives me crazy. And I would hate for any of you to do and experience what I did, because at that point I described to somebody this morning as running down a hill when you're a child, and then that velocity just takes over and your arms are just flailing and your legs are just running, but you can't stop because the force is just pushing you down. And that is what it felt like, trying to understand all the things that God was doing in my life, or the things he was asking me to do. I'm going to talk about some things that might be something you would question. So if God asked you to quit your job, he might see that that company is going in a direction that is not going to be profitable to you. If he asks you to move and you're like, wait a second, that doesn't make sense in my life right now to move. But you could be outgrowing what he needs you to do in where you're living right now. That's the only way I can explain it. Like, you could be outgrowing your environment. That's the word I was looking for. Sorry for that long pause. You could outgrow that environment, and it's time to pick up and go somewhere else where God can use you in that new environment. This was a funny one that came to me in my thoughts. I started laughing when God put it in my head. It was something as simple as, you have a favorite restaurant that you go to every week, or a favorite coffee shop you go to all the time, but and God's like, hey, don't go in there today. And you're like, why? I just want to get my coffee, or why? I just want to have my lunch there. But, because God is like funny. He's hilarious. And the top-notch dad jokes is all I can say is, you may not know that place probably failed their inspection 3 or 4 times, and he's trying to prevent you from spending the rest of the day on the toilet. You know what I'm saying? So it's simple. That one was funny, but other things are like, you might be going to a church for a long time and he asks you to stop going there for a little while, and you don't know why, but there's a reason. And a big one is when he is asking you to move on from a relationship or a friendship, and that doesn't make sense to you. But when our seasons change, the words that he brought to me was stepping stones, and not that your friend or that job or those places are things that you're stepping on literally, but they are little stepping stones to propel you in the next season. And so with that next season thing, it wouldn't be a video for me if I didn't talk about a dream. Like, I literally saw leaves falling, and I heard stepping stones, and I heard, like, your seasons are changing. And sometimes when it's not the friend or anybody that's like negative towards you, it is you've reached your growth that you were going to have there. And so if God sees that's going to stunt your growth, then he's going to have you move on. Or maybe you don't know what's going on in their life that you don't see, because you're not with people 24/7. And I mean, unless it's your spouse or something, but like friendships and stuff, they could be around people who are going to make you not grow, and you're going to be stuck in one spot because you're going to be tiptoeing around religion or talking about it. Like, for me, it's very much don't change what God is doing in my life. And sometimes you're around people who don't want to talk about religion, or you have to be careful about it because you don't want to step on their toes, or you don't want to be that person who sounds like you're pushing religion. And so if God doesn't want you around that, he will find a way to stop that. And it may be uncomfortable and you don't understand, and it may hurt your feelings and make you upset for a couple days, but there's a reason for it, and he'll tell you, if you're listening and building that relationship, why, and then it will just make sense. But in the days when it doesn't make sense, just don't go running down that hill too fast. Don't try to think about it. It will make sense later when God shows you. And another thing I want to touch on that about is these environments that you're in, these jobs, these friendships, these church groups or whatever. You may be around people who are not going to be equally yoked as you are, is what it says in the Bible. Don't hang around people that are unequally yoked. And that doesn't mean you can't plant a seed, but planting a seed doesn't mean you have to stay with those people. You plant the seed, you move on, and God will water it, or he'll ask you to stay a little bit longer to help water it. But other times God is trying to tell you, this is not where you need to be right now, so move on. And that's what I want to talk about, or that's what the main point of this video was, is being obedient even when it doesn't make sense. Being obedient when your feelings might be hurt on being obedient. Sometimes the outcome or the consequence of being obedient is uncomfortable, and the consequence of being obedient doesn't seem to make sense. It seems like a negative result, and you're like, wait a second, I did exactly what you told me to do, God, but why is this happening? But there's a purpose for it, and you just have to always remember that there's a purpose why he asked you to do something. And the verse I'm getting in my head right now is one of my favorite verses right now, because it's Jeremiah 29:11, and I'm gonna quote it as best as I can. God is gonna prosper you. He wants to prosper you and not harm you, right? So that was my paraphrase of it, because I don't have it memorized, even though I should. It's one of my favorites. But just obey him. Just do what you're supposed to do, even when it makes absolutely no sense and the consequences of it don't quite equal out to being some great positive reward. This is going to work out for your good. So even though I have been disobedient in kind of not making videos and kind of getting stuck in trying to understand what everything means, I just have to let it go and make the videos and say what he puts in my head to say, or in my dreams, or in my life to talk about, because this is just going to help somebody else understand. Because there's going to be a season where you're in the same boat that I'm in right now, where you find your path with God and you're trying to be obedient and nothing makes sense and things aren't turning out the way you want, but it will turn around, and God will show you exactly why you had to do this, because it is a stepping stone to the next level in your spiritual relationship with him and your next level in life. So in those moments where you're confused and it doesn't make sense, and the answer to what you did just boggles your mind, keep finding the light, guys. All right, thanks.